In 2025, artificial intelligence accounted for 92% of US GDP growth. $5 trillion valuations, revolutionary technology, the future of humanity itself, they told us. But here's what they didn't tell you. 95% of AI companies weren't seeing a single cent in profit. I dig through the ruins of tech bubbles past, and for the last few weeks, I've been excavating the AI gold rush. I've analyzed opaque multi-billion-dollar deals and found the exact moment when the intelligence became truly artificial. Not in the technology, but in the accounting. Here's the question nobody's answering. How can the biggest companies in the world pass around the same trillion-dollar check while their models lose billions every single quarter? This is the story of the AI bubble. And like all bubbles, it's not about technology. It's about greed, delusion, and who gets left holding the bag. Let me take you back. Not to 2024, but to 1999. The year Pets.com spent millions on a Super Bowl ad for a company that would be dead in 268 days. The year when adding .com to your company name could increase your stock price by 74% overnight. It wasn't different. Within 3 years, $5 trillion in market value evaporated, pensions destroyed, lives ruined. Fast forward to 2006, housing prices climbing endlessly, banks giving mortgages to anyone with a pulse. Housing prices have never declined on a national level, they said. The models say it's impossible. The models were wrong. The 2008 crash wiped out $16 trillion in household wealth. Now it's 2024, and the pattern is repeating with almost artistic precision. ChatGPT hits 100 million users, the fastest ever. Microsoft stock jumps 7% in a single day, adding $80 billion in market cap. Nvidia becomes more valuable than the entire European stock market. CEOs who spent 2022 talking about the metaverse suddenly can't stop using the letters A and I. Companies with no AI products announce AI initiatives and watch their stock prices soar. In 1999, it was .com in your name. In 2024, it's AI in your pitch deck. In 1999, profitability was old thinking. In 2024, it's legacy metrics. But here's where it gets dangerous. With AI, the product itself is often a mirage. When Microsoft announces Copilot will transform worker productivity, they're not talking about something that works reliably. They're talking about something that might work sometimes if you prompt it correctly, and if you're willing to check every output for hallucinations. The entire investment thesis rests not on what AI can do today, but on what believers think it might do tomorrow. Not on revenue, but on faith. And this brings us to the engine driving everything. Fear. Not hope. Fear. Get on board or get left behind. Adopt AI or become obsolete. Invest now or miss the opportunity of a century. Goldman Sachs says AI will add $7 trillion to global GDP. McKinsey says $4.4 trillion annually. These aren't predictions. They're incantations that make stock prices go up. Nobody asks, what if these predictions are wrong? Because asking that makes you a dinosaur. You're Blockbuster laughing at Netflix. Except Netflix had a better product. The iPhone actually worked. With AI in 2024, the superiority is theoretical. The revolution is promised, not delivered. And the profits? OpenAI is projected to lose $5 billion in 2024. Anthropic burns through hundreds of millions. These are the industry leaders with the best technology, and they're hemorrhaging money. Training a frontier AI model costs $100 million to $1 billion. Running it costs 10 to 40 cents per query. OpenAI charges $20 per month for unlimited queries. If you use it moderately, 50 queries a day, you're costing them $150 to $600 per month in compute costs alone. The math doesn't work. It has never worked. Everyone knows it. So, how are these companies worth billions? That's where things get really interesting. In 2023 and 2024, we witnessed something extraordinary. The same money being counted as investment and revenue by multiple companies simultaneously. Microsoft invests $13 billion in OpenAI. Massive news. Partnership of the century. OpenAI takes that $13 billion and gives most of it back to Microsoft by buying Azure cloud credits. So Microsoft's investment immediately returns as cloud revenue. Microsoft reports massive AI-driven cloud growth. Stock price goes up. But OpenAI needs chips, Nvidia's H100s. So OpenAI, Microsoft, and every AI company are in a bidding war for Nvidia's chips. Nvidia's stock explodes. It adds over $1 trillion in market cap. Who owns a lot of Nvidia stock? Microsoft. So Microsoft's investment in OpenAI has indirectly pumped their Nvidia holdings. Oracle announces a $10 billion partnership with OpenAI. Oracle's stock jumps 13%. Where does OpenAI get the money? From Microsoft. From a funding round led by Microsoft, which includes money from Nvidia's venture arm. Google invests $2 billion in Anthropic. Anthropic spends it on Google Cloud credits. Amazon invests $4 billion in Anthropic. Anthropic commits to using AWS. Are you seeing the pattern? Company A gives money to Startup B. Startup B spends it on services from Company A and chips from Company C. Company C's stock goes up. Company A owns Company C stock. Everyone reports growth. Everyone's stock goes up. The money hasn't created value. It's just circulated through different entities, each one booking it as revenue or growth, until the same dollars have been counted 5 times. And Nvidia itself? Nvidia's venture arm invests in companies that use that investment to buy Nvidia products, which makes Nvidia's revenue look strong, which makes their stock go up, which makes their venture investments more effective. And it's not fraud. It's not illegal. But it is fundamentally circular. When Microsoft invests $13 billion in OpenAI, but OpenAI spends $10 billion on Azure credits, Microsoft gets to claim the investment as an asset and the spending as revenue. It's counted twice, actually 3 times when you include OpenAI's valuation increases. The VCs are part of the machine too. If you're managing a $10 billion fund, you need to invest it somewhere. In 2024, the hottest sector is AI, so that's where the money flows. These firms invest in AI startups. The startups spend it on chips and cloud services from tech giants. The tech giant stocks go up. The VC firms own tech giant stocks. Success. It's musical chairs. Everyone knows the music will stop. Everyone knows there aren't enough chairs. But nobody can afford to sit down early. So they keep dancing faster as the music gets louder. And the products themselves often don't work as advertised. Google's Gemini demo was heavily edited. OpenAI's Sora videos were cherry-picked from thousands of attempts. Microsoft's Copilot studies showed workers spent as much time correcting it as they saved. But by the time the reality emerges, the stock prices have already moved. The investments have been made. And pointing out that the emperor has no clothes makes you a Luddite. Here's what's remarkable. The insiders know. In leaked messages, AI researchers are much more cautious than their public statements. They talk about limitations, fundamental challenges, unclear path to profitability. In public, they talk about transforming civilization. The gap between the public narrative and private reality is enormous. And it has to be, because the public narrative is what keeps the stock prices up. While executives play their circular money game, real people are being affected. In January 2023, a major tech company laid off 10,000 workers. Buried in the statement, "We're also accelerating our AI initiatives." Translation: we're cutting humans to fund AI experiments. This became the pattern. Company after company announcing layoffs with AI mentioned somewhere in the explanation. But here's the thing. The AI wasn't replacing those workers. Companies were betting AI eventually might be able to, so they cut costs now to fund development that might pay off later. Maybe. Fire real workers with real mortgages today, based on hypothetical AI capabilities tomorrow. And executives loved it because AI gave them cover. Mass layoffs used to be bad PR. But with AI, you're a visionary preparing for the future. Here's the ironic part. Workers often ended up doing more work, not less. A 2024 study found developers spent 35% of their time reviewing and correcting AI-generated code. For many, it was faster to just write it themselves. Customer service departments that deployed AI chatbots didn't fire their workers. They had them oversee the AI, jumping in when it inevitably misunderstood or hallucinated. One insurance worker described her role as babysitting the robot. The AI would process claims, but she had to review every decision. "I'm fixing 1,000 tiny mistakes a day," she told me. "Before, I might make 3 or 4 mistakes a week. Now the AI makes 1,000, and I have to catch them all. But the company reports that AI has increased efficiency by 40%. How? The AI processes more claims, never mind that most need human correction. It's efficiency measured in volume, not accuracy. AI implementation also brought unprecedented surveillance. Companies deployed monitoring tools tracking every keystroke, every mouse movement. The justification: understanding productivity patterns to optimize AI integration. The reality: Orwellian micromanagement dressed as innovation. Workers were scored on engagement metrics generated by AI. One worker was flagged for disengagement because he was working on a complex problem requiring deep thought. Fewer keystrokes per hour. The AI saw lower activity and flagged him as unproductive. And there's the invisible workforce, the humans behind artificial intelligence. AI systems require labeled training data. Someone has to label millions of images. That someone is usually a low-wage worker in the developing world, paid pennies per task. In Kenya, the Philippines, Venezuela, millions spend their days labeling data for AI models they'll never use, making technology for markets they'll never access, enriching companies that barely acknowledge their existence. OpenAI's models used workers making less than $2 per hour. Google's AI used workers in India making $1.50 per hour. No benefits, no job security, no labor protections. Even worse are the content moderators who train AI to be safe. These workers spend 8-hour days reading the most traumatic content humans produce: violence, abuse, exploitation, marking it so the AI learns what not to generate. Reports documented the psychological damage: PTSD, depression, substance abuse. And the companies contract this to third parties in countries with minimal mental health support. The friendly AI that tech executives demo was made safe by traumatizing low-wage workers most people will never think about. But the human cost isn't the only cost being ignored. Let's talk about the environment. Training GPT-3 consumed an estimated 700,000 liters of clean drinking water for cooling. That's enough for 300 people for a year. Every time you chat with ChatGPT, it uses roughly half a liter of water. And where are these data centers? Often in regions facing water stress. Microsoft's data centers in Phoenix, a city facing historic water shortages, use millions of gallons annually. Google's data center in Oregon uses 4.3 billion gallons per year. Then there's electricity. Training a large language model consumes as much electricity as 100 US homes use in a year. Running inference at scale consumes far more. Google's AI operations use as much electricity as a small country. Microsoft's AI push drove a 34% increase in electricity consumption in 1 year. Some estimates suggest if AI continues growing at current rates, data centers could consume 10% of global electricity by 2030. Where does this come from? Increasingly, fossil fuels. The AI boom has slowed the transition to renewable energy. Utilities are keeping coal plants online longer because data centers need reliable power. Microsoft, Google, and Amazon all have commitments to carbon neutrality. In practice, their AI expansion is driving up emissions. They buy carbon offsets to paper over the gap while their operations burn more fossil fuels. And who's going to pay when this bubble bursts? Pension funds are heavily invested in tech stocks. When Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, and Amazon stocks soar on AI hype, pension funds look healthy. But those gains are paper gains built on speculation. When the bubble bursts, those paper gains evaporate. It'll be the schoolteacher in Michigan whose pension fund invested in AI infrastructure. The factory worker in Pennsylvania whose 401k is heavy on tech stocks. The retired nurse in Florida who was told her retirement was secure. This is the same story as 2008, just with different instruments. In 2008, complex mortgage securities obscured risk until the system collapsed. Regular people lost homes and savings while the architects got bailouts. In 2025, complex AI investment structures obscure risk. When it collapses, regular people will lose pensions and savings while tech companies get bailouts because they're too big to fail. The pattern is always the same: massive speculation, insiders get rich, skeptics dismissed, sudden collapse, regular people suffer most, insiders get bailed out. We promise it'll never happen again. It happens again. So when does this bubble pop? The honest answer: nobody knows. Bubbles can persist longer than rational analysis suggests. But warning signs are accumulating. Profitability isn't improving. Use cases aren't scaling. The circular money flows are becoming obvious. Regulatory pressure is building. The technology is hitting walls. We're not seeing exponential improvements. And capital is tightening. It could be a single catalyst, one major AI company admitting they can't reach profitability, or a slow deflation as investors gradually realize the revolution isn't materializing. What happens after? Some AI companies will survive. The technology is genuinely useful for certain applications, but survivors will be valued appropriately as useful tools, not civilization-transforming platforms. Thousands of AI startups will die. The tech giants will survive, but trillions in market cap will evaporate, and regular people will suffer. Workers laid off for AI efficiency won't get their jobs back. Retirees whose pensions were invested won't recover their losses. But here's the thing: the future isn't written by tech companies. It's not dictated by Silicon Valley. It's not inevitable just because some billionaire says it is. We have choices, as consumers, as workers, as citizens. We can choose not to participate in the hype. We can demand accountability. We can vote for politicians who will regulate AI's environmental impact and protect workers. We can choose to support actual innovation over speculation. Bubbles pop when enough people stop believing. That's how every bubble has ended, when the collective delusion breaks. Every time you choose to support a local business over an AI-powered app, you're voting. Every time you speak up when your company justifies layoffs with AI hype, you're pushing back. Every time you share information about what's really happening, you're breaking the illusion. The bubble exists because we collectively believe in it. It pops when we collectively stop. Imagine a different future, not where AI replaces human workers and enriches investors. A future where technology genuinely serves human flourishing. Where AI tools help doctors, but doctors remain central. Where workers share in productivity gains instead of being discarded. That future is possible, but only if we choose it. The AI bubble will burst. That's not a question. The question is, what comes next? Here's what you can do. Contact your pension fund and ask about their AI exposure. Support politicians who talk about AI regulation. Share this information. At work, push back on AI hype. Demand to see actual results, real ROI, genuine value. Years from now, people will look back and wonder, how did they fall for it? And the answer will be, because we were told it was inevitable. Because we were told we couldn't stop it. But we don't have to believe. We don't have to participate. The AI bubble is a choice made by people in power who profit from it. And like all choices, it can be unmade by people who refuse to go along. So, refuse. The future belongs to the people who plant trees, not the people who sell fireworks. Choose the tree.